Okay, so today we'll be talking about data modeling. Data modeling in Microsoft Power BI. Right. So when you're talking about data modeling in Power BI, it's all about creating and managing data relationship and structures to analyze and visualize data. Right. Good. So I'll walk you through a simple example of data modeling in Power BI. This example will give you a basic understanding of how to model data in Power BI and also build a meaningful visualization based on that model. Now, if you have more than two tables or more than one table, how can you work with these tables at the same time? So with the help of data model, we were able to create a relationship between these tables. Now we have the model view in Power BI. Now this model view shows all of the tables, columns, and the relationships in your model, right? So here is where we'll be creating all our relationships. Now in this scenario, I have four data sets here. I have four different data sets here, right? We have customers, orders, products, and sales. Good. Now these four tables, how can you work with these four tables at the same time, right? Here we have to do what? With the help of the model view, we can create a relationship between these four tables. Okay, so now let's import all these four tables into Power BI. I'll start with the customers, and then the file format is CSV, right? So here I will come to get data, then I will choose text/CSV file. Good. And here I will navigate through my files. Good. So I will first import the customers. So this is the customers, right? The customers table. Good. Here I'll go to load. Good. So I have load the customers table. Good. So this is the customers table here, and then I also have it here, right? Good. Now let's load the orders table. So the same idea, go to get data and then test/CSV, and then I'll select the orders. So this is the orders. Okay, so load. Okay, so this is the orders table. Good. Now you can see that Power BI has automatically detected the relationship, right? So if I put the cursor here, you see that now I'll explain this later, right? Good. Power BI is more robust in such a way that it can automatically sometimes detect the hot, create the relationship for you, right? Good. Okay, but I'll explain this further. So let's import another table. So products, so this is the product. Okay. You have the product here. Okay, let's see that one. So this is the product table. Let's import the last one, sales. So this is the sales table. Okay. Now we have all the tables here. We have the 4 tables here. Let me bring this down here. Okay. Now this is the table we have, right? See that here, this data is too simple for Power BI to detect it, right? Sometimes you have to create your own relationship, right? Good. So now let me delete the joining, right? And then let's go through and then create it. Okay, so I've deleted all the joining, and here we are coming to join it ourselves, right? To create the relationship ourselves. Good. Now, first of all, let's go to the table view to study how all the data is, right? Okay, so this is the customer table. This is the customers table, right? Now, inside the customers table, we have customer ID, customer name, gender, age, home address, zip code, city, state and country, right? Good. Now all this column, we can see that this customer ID has a unique values here, right? When you check the customer IDs, we have it has a unique value. Now this unique values identify all the rows, right? So here, if I click on this drop down, you see these are the unique values in the customer ID, right? Good. Now, okay, now let's check the customer's name. So these are the customer's name too. Alright, good. Okay, so you can continue to check all the rows, all the columns here, and then you get to know the unique values under each column. Now let's go to the orders table. So this is the orders table. Good. Now inside the orders table, we have the order ID and then the customer ID here, right? Good. Now for you to create a relationship between tables, you must have a common columns between these two tables, right? So when you check the customers and then the orders table, the common column is what? Is the customer ID. So we have customer ID in the orders table, and then this customer ID is in the orders table, right? So when you check the orders table, this is the customer ID. When you come to the orders table too, we have the customer ID, meaning that here there is we can create a relationship between what? Between the customers and the orders. Mostly it's not about the column name, customer ID, but it's about the values in the column, right? So here the name can change, right? The name here, the column name can change. The column name can be anything. So if you are joining the table, one thing you have to know is that we have to consider the values in the two tables, not the column name. The column name can change, right? So here we have the customer ID here, which is the primary key, and the purpose of this primary key is that it uniquely identify all the rows, right? Uniquely identify all the rows. Now when you come to the orders table too, we have order ID, and the purpose of this order ID here is to uniquely identify all the rows, right? Now Now this data is an e-commerce data set, right? E-commerce like let's say Amazon or Jumia or Gigi or Tonaton. Good. Now when you register or when you sign up for the first time, you put in your personal information, right? So the customers table here contains your personal information, right? Like your name, age, gender, address, zip code, city, state, and then the country, right? That's your personal information. And then the orders table. The orders table contains the orders you have made, right? The orders you have made. So here the payment, the order date, and then the delivery date, right? Good. That's your orders history. And then the products here, the product table also contains the products in the e-commerce, right? The product on the site. Alright, so here we have the ID. Each product has its ID. Good. And then the product name, the product type, the product name, the size, color, price, quantity, and then the description. And then the sales. Also, the sales table also contains the sales of the whole product. So here we have the price per unit, quantity, and then total price. Right. Good. Now, when you check the customers, right, we have customer ID here. That they have designed it in such a way that when you sign up, you automatically have an ID, and that ID is unique. Now, when also make a purchase, when you place an order, the order too will have an ID, right? The order ID, and this order ID too is unique, right? Good. Now inside this order table, inside this orders table too, we have customer ID here. Now this customer ID coming here help to identify which customer made an order. So here you can see that in the orders table we have customer ID. The first row is what we have 1, right? Good. That's the which customer placed this order, and the customer is what? The customer that placed this first order is what? The ID of that customer is what? Is 64, right? So customer with the ID 64 placed a first order. Are you okay? Good. And the same thing implies this one. Customer with ID 473 also made an order, right? So this is the unique values for the orders table. Okay, so meaning that here one customer can make multiple orders, right? One customer can make multiple orders. Okay, now let's move on to the products table. Now the product table, we have product ID here, and the purpose of this product ID, as I said, uniquely identify all the products, right? So all the products here has ID. Okay, now let's move on to the sales. Now inside the sales has its own ID, which is the sales ID, right? And then inside this sales table too, we have order ID and then the product ID. Okay, so meaning that here there is a relationship between the products and then the sales, because the product ID here, right, has been appears in the sales table, which is this product, right? Good. So here we say that this product ID become a foreign key, right? Good, because it has been appeared in a different table, right? And as I said earlier, when we are creating a relationship between multiple tables, we don't consider the column name, we consider the values, right? And then the values can be anything. It can be text, it can be numbers, it can be dates, and so on, right? But here in this case, we are having the whole numbers, right? Whole number data type, right? So sometimes it can be anything. Okay. Now let's move on to the model view. So this is the model view, right? Good. Here is where we create the relationship, or we join all these two tables together, right? Now here, because we have not joined all these tables together, we cannot build a visualization with these tables. So let's say we have country, we have city here. I want each city and their total sales here, right? Because there is no relationship between the customers and then the sales, I can't build a visual with this. Or even if I force to build a visual, the values or the visualization I will get is it won't be correct, right? Good. Okay, so let's try it. So let's go to report view. Let's go to report view, and then let me use this chart, stack column chart. Good. Now here I have my 4 tables here. So I wanted to take one column from customers. Let's take one variable from customers and another one from sales. Okay. So here I wanted to know each city and their total price, right? So I will take the city to x-axis and then the total price in the sales table to the y-axis. Good. Now this is the visual I got, right? Good. Now here you can see that all the values, all the cities has the same total price, right? And it shouldn't be this, right? Because here we are having this visualization because there is no a relationship between the customers and the sales, right? If you want a better visualization, we have to join the customers with the sales, and then looking at the customers and the sales, there's no common column between them, right? Okay, there is no a common column between them, right? So what we have to do is that we have to try to join it, right? And here we can do that with the help of the others. So let's go to the model view. When you check the customers, there is no a common column, as I said earlier, between the customers and then the sales table, but we have a common column for customers and then the others, which is the customer ID, because we can find customer ID here, customer ID, we can find customer ID here, right? So this is the customer ID, and when you go to the orders table too, we have what? Customer ID here. So that means that this table, we can join these two tables based on the customer ID. Good. Now when you take the orders and then the sales, there is a common column between them, right, which is the order ID. We have the order ID in the sales table and then the order ID in the orders table, right? Good. And then when you check the product too, there is no a direct connection with the customers and then the product, right? Good. But we have product ID in the product table and the product ID in the sales table, right? So that's what we are coming to do, okay, to help us to build better visualization. Okay, so here I'll select the customer ID in the customers table, click on it and drag it to the customers ID in the orders table, right? Good. Good. Now we have this preview. This preview gives us how the kind of relationship we are coming to build, right? So here we can check the cardinality, saying that one to many, right? Good. Meaning that here one customer can place multiple orders. And then here we have the customer ID here. Can see that new relationship from table, which is customer. If I click here, can have tables here, right? These are the tables names. From table customers to tables orders, right? And here it has selected the column. We have the customer ID here, which is this, and then we have the customer ID here, right? Good. This is the preview of the before you can join. So if you are okay with it, then you click on save to join. So now we have what? We have joined the orders and then orders to the customers, right? Good. And then if I click on this joint, you can see that it has selected the variables, right, which is the customer ID in the customers table and the customer ID in the orders table, right? Let me zoom in, right? So here, okay. Now let's do the same for the products and then the sales. So here we have the product ID and the product ID. Even if you check the column names, the product ID, the spellings of the product ID here is what the ID is what is in the uppercase, but when you check it here, it's what is in the small case. The column name doesn't matter. What matters is the values. Okay, so here I'll select the product ID and then drag it to the product ID here. Good. You can see this one too has given me a preview. Okay, so if you are okay with it, and then click on save. Now we have it here. So here too we have what? One to many, right? You see that here we have one, and then this star sign stands for many. Okay, so what we are doing now is called mapping. I think in primary school we learned something called mapping, right? One-to-one mapping, many-to-many mapping, many-to-one mapping, those kind of things, right? And when you say data mapping is all about connecting a data field from one source to a data field in another source, right? So here we have a field here, right, which is customer ID. We are mapping it to what? From one source. So here customers table is a source, and then the others too is a source, right? So we are mapping a field which is the customer ID from here to what? To here, right, to create a connection. Okay, so that's all about mapping. That's basically about mapping. And then the purpose of this mapping is to reduce a potential errors, right, and also help you standardize your data and make it easier to understand, right? Good. Now let's go to the report view. So this is the we are here in the report view. Okay, now let's recreate this visual, right? Good. So let's remove it. And then let's create it again to see the results after we did the connection. Okay, so I have it here. Oh, okay, so I didn't join the others with the sales. So let's go back to the model view to do that. So we are in the model view here. We have the order ID here, and then we have the order ID here. So let's join it. So I'll take it from here, order ID, to here, order ID here. So we have this, and here we have the one to many, right, mapping. So save. Good. Now we have what? We have joined it successfully. Okay, so I want to let me resize this one. Good. Now we have it here. Okay, now let's go back to the report view. Let me resize this. Good. And then let's do it again. Let me take the city to X axis, and then total price to Y axis. So now I have what? I have this visualization, right? Good. So this is the better visual, right? Good. After the joining. Okay. So let's also bring in another data source from the web, right? So let's say let me go to the table view and then the customers table. Good. So let's say I want the population. You can check that here all the countries is of Australia, right? Yes. Let's check the universe. We have Australia here. So let's say that I want the population, right, of the Australia country, right, per each state. Okay, so here we can get this from the web, right? So here the data source is what? The data source will be web. So let's go home here, click on home and go to get data, right? Good. Get data, then choose web. So we are coming to extract a data from the web, right? That's the Australia population, to add it to our data for further analysis. Okay, so here, because the data is from the web, here the data source is what? I will select web. Good. So let me click on web. Okay, so this is the web. Now here I will open my browser and search population in Australia state. Okay, so this is my browser, and then I'll search for population in Australia. Right, good. So let me add states to it. Okay, so I'll scroll down to, let's say Wikipedia. So I'll select Wikipedia. Okay, so I'll scroll down to check to see if I'll get what I'm looking for. Good. Now here I have this, so let me scroll and go through it and see. Good. So I have it here, right? Population, that is September 2023 for each state, right? Good. For each state. Okay, I think 1, 2 is here. No, the first one, this table is okay, right? So what I'll do is that I'll copy the URL of this site, Wikipedia. Then I'll come to my Power BI and paste the URL here. Then click on OK. So it's connecting. Then this is a navigator preview, so it's loading, right? Let's wait for some time. Good. So it has extracted all the tables in the Wikipedia platform. Okay, so let's go through if you get what you are looking for, right? So I'll select the first table, which is table 1. No, it's not this. Let me go to the second one. No, it's not this. No, it's not this one. Let me go to the table 2. Okay, you see that this is good. This is what I'm looking for, right? Good. So it has given me the preview of the data. Okay, so here I'll select the table 2, and then because we have to transform this data or clean it, right? Small, because we have some non-null values here. So I'll go to transform data. Good. So these are Power Query Editor, right? So let's transform this data before we proceed. So here the name table 2, let's change the name table 2 to population. Alright, good. So let me change it to population. So population. Good. I've changed the table name to population. Good. Now you see that here it has changed to population. Good. And then the columns names too, you see that here we have column 1, column 2, column 3, right? The actual column is start from 1. This is the actual column, right? Good. So what I have to do is I'll go to transform, and then I'll say I'll click on use first row as headers, right? Good. I'll select that one. Good. Here to use the first row as header, right? Good. And then this now values, now we have now. So if you click on the drop down here, you can see that we have now values here, right? Yes. I don't need it. So here I'll filter it out. So I'll click on this one, uncheck the now, and then click on OK. Good. So it has filtered everything out, right? Good. Now the next thing is we have to check the data type. It's very important, right? Good. Now the data type here, you can see that here the population, we have population, and then population 2021 census, right? Here is what if you check this ABC, it's supposed to be what? It's supposed to be a whole number, but here Power BI has detected as what? As a text, right? And if you check, this is a number, so it's supposed to be text. Sorry, it's supposed to be number, not text. If you scroll to, you can see that the data type is not correct, and here this is percentage, right? Good. So you have to change all this data type. Good. Now before that, let's remove some columns in it here. This column we don't need it, so let me remove this column. and then this population capital, this one too, you don't need it, let's remove it. Good, I think the rest is okay. So here what I have to do is that here I can select the column I want to change the data type, right, and go to transform, and then the data type, I'll click on the drop down here to change the data type here, right? So these are the data types, or I'll double click on, I'll click on the ABC, right? This ABC, I'll click on it, and then it also gives me the same thing. So I can change the data type from this side, right? So the fastest way of doing it is, but it's not always accurate. Control, select everything, Control A to select everything, then you go to transform and click on detect data type. This one, it will automatically detect all the data type, but sometimes too it fails, right? So here, after you have done with this, you have to also go through to check if it is okay. Detect data type, click on it. Let's see, good. So here you can see that now you check the population, and so it is able to detect the data type. Alright, yes, here to the same thing, and then see, so all the data type is okay now, it's good. So you see that the percentage, right, it has detected as percentage correctly. Okay, so now the data type is okay. Let's try to also rename some columns. Now check the population here. Let's rename it, right? So let me make it only population. Good. Okay. And then I think this is okay. And then let me drag it. Let me drag this population forward. Right, let me drag it to this side. Let's see. Yeah, let me drag it to this side. Good. Okay. The land area, let's check if I can delete some. Our main focus is on what? Is on the population, right? Good. Each state and then the population. Okay, so here we can even now let's delete. Let's remove some of the columns from here, right? So here we cannot select it and then delete it one. So what you have to do is that I'll go to home and click on choose column. Good. Choose column. Good. Now this choose column, you can see that we have all the columns here. So the columns you don't like, you just uncheck it. So here I don't like this land area, I'll uncheck. I don't like this land area too. This is also land area. We also have this population. I don't like it. All this stuff, right? I think this percentage of population capital is okay. So I'll click on OK. Let's switch. Now you can see that it has removed all the columns. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 columns, only 4 columns, right? And the data type is, we have the text here, text, we have here whole number, and here percentage, right? Good. So here I'll click on, go to home and click on close and apply. We have done transforming the data and extracts the kind of data we are looking for, so it's okay. So I'll go to close and apply. So now it's loading, right? So let's wait for it to load. Good, now it's done. Okay, so let's go to see. Now we have the population data here, right? So the population table, have it here. So let's select it. Good. Now this is the population table. Okay, now let's go to the model view. We go to the model view too. You can see that here we have the population, right? We have the population table here, but this population table is not, Power BI did not automatically create the connection, right? So we have to create it manually. So this is what I was talking about, that it's not always that Power BI will create the connection, right? In this case, we don't have the connection, so let's create. So let me drag it to this side. Good. Drag it to this side. Now let's go to let's go back to the table view and check the population. Now we have state slash territory, and then we have the population, and then we have population capital. Okay, good. Percentage. Now when you check this, you wanted to create a relationship between these tables, right? But when you check this, column, which is state slash territory, the values there is what? These are the values, right? Look at the values here. Good. Now let's go back to the customers table, and then let's also check the state here. We have it here. You can check that here, the states. Let me click on this drop down and check the unique values, right? Good. So you can see that the states in the customers table, and then the state slash territory in the population tables are the same, right? So here you can create a connection between these two tables, right? Let's go to the population. Good. So this is the population. Population table. So this is the population table, and we have the state slash territory. So you can see that here even the column name is different, but because we have similar values, we can create a relationship between these two tables, right? Good. Now we are doing this because let's say that we want each gender and their population in a specific city, right? Good. So example is that when you take the Victoria city, how many females are in the Victoria city, right? Good. This type of question, before we can solve this, unless we join these two tables, because the variable or the field are from two different tables. We have gender here, then we have population here. Gender in the customers table, and the population is from what? Is from the population table, right? We have it here. So here we have to join the table before we can solve this. Okay, so let's go to the model view, and then the common column between this is what? Is the, here we have in the population we have the state slash territory, and then in the customers table too we have the state, right? So here we can create or do the mapping. Okay, so let's go to the model view. Okay, so we are in the model view. So here I'll take the state, I'll select the state here from the customers table, then I'll drag it and drop it here in the population, right? The population is on state slash territory. Good. So we have this preview, right? Good. So here we have the state, and here the state slash. As I keep on saying, the column name doesn't matter, right? Good. You can see that from the population table, even the column names is different from the column name in the customers table, right? Good. But because of the values, and it also doesn't matter the position of the values too, right? Here you can see that based on this preview, Victoria is in the second row, but here, you can see it as a third row. It doesn't matter, right? Good. So let's click on save. Good. Now here you can see that you have created a relationship, right? Okay. So let me drag it down. Good. Now we have it here. Okay. Now we have the states. Put the cursor here. We have map our tables. Okay. So let's try build the visuals with this, right? With the population table. So let's take the start column chart again. Good. Let me position it here. Okay. So here we wanted to know each state and their total price, right? Each state and their total price. But here we will take the abbreviation, right? So that when you check, let's go to the table view. Go to the table view. We have the abbreviation here, right? States and the abbreviation, right? Good. So let's say you wanted to know each state and their total price, but here based on the abbreviation field, right? Good. So let's go to the report view. Then here I'll pick abbreviation from the population to x-axis. Then I'll come to the sales and take what total price from the sales. Good. You see that now we have built this nice visualization. Although there is no direct join with the population to the sales, right? Good. So let's go to the model view. When you go to the model view, now we are able to visualize field here, population, which is the abbreviation here, and then the total price from the sales. But when you look at this, there is no direct connection from this to this. Let me zoom out. From this table to this table, right? We don't have a direct connection. So the connection works from, it passes through the customers and then pass through the orders, and then from the orders to the sales. Are you okay? So that's an idea behind data modeling. Okay.